Hey y'all, what's up? Big Wooly here, and welcome back to another episode of our FTB Skies Expert Let's Play. So as you can see, I haven't done too much work up top or decorating on the base because I want to start using it, and I needed to start moving in. So I brought all the drawers over, got them set up here. The reason it's wrapped around here, even though we do have more space further back, is because this is the range on this storage controller. I can't go any further or they won't be able to add on. Now, there is a way, I do believe, in this update, or maybe, no, it might be the next one. It might be 120. I think in the new one, you can actually add range to your storage controller, but I don't know that that's in this pack. I think this is a 119 pack. So either way, it's wrapped around like this because of the limitation of the controller. So basically, I can't go any further back and I can't go any further over this way. And so I just, tied it all in there. And then upstairs, we got some other stuff going on. Wow, I didn't like intro at all. I'm just showing you guys everything. We're just like going. All right, so I brought over the setup with our discs, put it in here for the time being, just temporarily, but I've got everything tied in. Drawer controllers tied in. Our discs are all tied in. There's nothing in any of the other storages left over there. And so I brought most of it here. And then I also brought a bunch of other things, like our latex setup and our dissolution chamber for the latex and some fluid drawers. There's pieces and bits and bobs that our monstrosity of machines from out front is in here somewhere. Might be, yeah, here. There's our simulation chambers and all that stuff. So we're going to work on getting most of that set up around the base today. But the main goal is we're going to go over AE2 Autocrafting, subnetting, p2p tunnels. All of that's going to tie together for a lot of different reasons. Sorry for the super long intro, but, I just wanted to show you guys what I had done and get that out of the way. So without any further ado, at this point, we're going to get into it. Okay, Autocrafting. So I had set that stuff up temporarily just to get some things going, but one of the main things that made me decide we needed to do this today is I want to get our bigger ME2 controller block thing going, but we need to make a bunch of those, and there's a bunch of compounding crafts in there, so I kind of wanted to go over all of that with you. So let's go take a look at the ME controller so that I can walk you through what I'm talking about, and then we'll set some stuff up. So for the ME2 controller, we need to make this energy cell, which takes all of these, which we also have to craft the quartz glass for, and all of that can be set up through Autocrafting so that when we need to make an ME controller, or once we need to make something else with quartz glass and whatever else, all of the times we need to use those things, we can just tell the storage to do it, and we're not running around putting stuff in machines. It'll do it all for us. Now, we're going to need more channels to get all of this set up permanently, but we can build everything in its little pockets, and then hopefully by the end of the episode, we will be able to do some peer-to-peer on a ME. We're going to set a controller cube up here centered on the top of this pyramid. It's going to stick out on the top. I got some ideas about how to make it look pretty, but we're going to have it up here and feed all of our subnets off of it, bring our cable over from our main controller system over there. We may even just move our controller to the bottom of the sphere and then feed everything out with cables to eliminate even one more channel usage out here, and then we can just P2P everything to our multi-block, which you guys will see later. So to get started with this, any AE2 Autocrafting, first thing you're going to need for crafting anything is you need a crafting multi-block, a crafting processor, which consists of a storage, and at least one crafting unit, and they have to be a cuboid of some kind. They can be 1x2, 2x2, 2x1, whatever, but 3x3. But they have to be a complete cuboid. They have to, completely tie together. The more storage you have in it, the bigger recipes you can do. But this is what we had used for a simple setup to get started, and so we're just going to roll with it. We have a 16K crafting storage, which shows as a multi-block on its own, but then you get errors about not having a processor if you try to use it. So now we're going to put in another crafting unit, which you could see this would be usable, but tends to be a little slower from the way I understand these to work. but having a coprocessor and another crafting unit, this here allows it to, I believe, interact with more machines. I don't remember all the logistics. I've been a refined storage guy for a while, so all of this overly complicated for no reason stuff is more confusing than, and I don't honestly remember. But so now we have somewhere for our crafting to be done. Well, yes, for it to be organized. And as I was telling you guys before, I'd set this up in a star, and they say this is the way to make the fastest auto crafting, because then this molecular assembler will have, or this pattern provider will have a molecular assembler on every face that interacts with it, and therefore it can be doing all sorts of things in all of these. It can send crafts to all of them and make it super fast. But this doesn't allow you to make them very dense. So what I typically do on my setups when I start setting up pattern providers is I will put them in a row just like this, and I will come back and put acceleration cards in here to speed them up. And then I could just have like a whole row of these all tied in, and I don't have to have like those, like a minefield of those little star thingamajigs. So this is how we're going to set these up for now. This one's just going to be temporary for today because I need to get all the subnets set up and whatnot, and then I'll know how much space I will have in here, and I'll probably float some of these along some of these edges up there and tie them in on a subnet to get them up and out of the way. But for now, let's just put one over here somewhere. We could do it right here. So it can go there, and then we can put this molecular assembler on pattern provider there, molecular assembler on each of the faces, and then our two patterns we had already made can go back in for the flux core and the flux point. And so now that makes a complete setup for us to be able to autocraft. I haven't tied my wireless or anything back in yet on the new side. Sorry, bear with me. So if we come upstairs here, I don't have elevator blocks. I ain't got nothing going on. Oh my gosh. All right. So if we come back up here, we can look at flux, and you'll see that those flux points are there. So now let's start working on the stuff we need for those controllers, because that was the whole point, was to make our controllers and make our life a little easier. So let's pin the ME controller, pin the energy cell, the Fluix block, the Skystone block. It's a smelting recipe, and then the Skystone comes from pure white daisy, which we need to get into some of this stuff here, the pure daisy. If we could get into these mechanical daisies and stuff, Elementium, what does Elementium take? Elementium is mana steel through the portal. Okay, so we can do that. We might get into automating some of the like daisy and whatnot. I don't know. We'll see how much time we have. But anyway, so once we're in our pattern encoding terminal here, we don't have any patterns, so we're going to need to grab out some blank patterns. They must be in the storage from where we brought stuff over. Not in there. Dude, these villagers followed me from the freaking middle of the island, and they want my bed. Go away. Can't have my bed. And, oh, you can't come in because of the pressure plate. Get wrecked. Where are they? Okay, there's my extra blank patterns. So we toss the blank patterns in here, and then the energy cell. So we can tell it, here's how you make an energy cell. And as long as we have everything, it'll make them. No problem. Now, substitution's disabled. We need to fix that. We want it to be able to substitute, if it can, on these recipes. So just make sure you have that, checked there. And then next thing is the Fluix block. So that's how you make the Fluix block. Now, here's the fun part. So I did bring the induction smelter, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a processing recipe for the quartz glass. So this is why, now we have plenty, we got 26, but I want to show you how to do it because we will need more of the quartz glass going forward, and this will help you guys doing it in your worlds. All right, so we've got a couple patterns left. We're going to need to make another pattern provider, which is fine. Oh, I mean, one of the basic patterns that we really should tell our system how to make is always tell your system how to make patterns so that you don't have to keep making them. Now, we have the pattern access terminal, and you'll see molecular assembler. That means that this is for just crafts, right? So you can't shift click into there for whatever reason, but we're going to put those up in here. And now we should be able to come back to our regular one and say pattern and tell it to make us 10. And it will make us 10 patterns. Didn't have to do anything, but now we have 10 more blank patterns to put in our pattern encoding terminal. So for the quartz glass, this is going to make what's called a processing recipe. So if we go look up the recipe here, and it's, 4 glass, 4 Certus quartz dust, encode pattern. Now, it's going to send whatever pattern provider we set this up with, it's going to send it to Certus quartz, or 4 Certus quartz dust and 4 glass, and it's going to wait to get 4 quartz glass back before it proceeds. So you always want to make sure all those numbers are right. Occasionally, you'll get some weird numbers in here. And is it control? Oh, yeah. So control, click, takes them off. But there's a bunch of functions for adding and removing. But just make sure that your number that you're supposed to get for the recipe matches what it actually is. Because if it's wrong, then it'll just never finish the recipe and sit there and continue to expect to get stuff back. So now we're going to need a pattern provider. And the reason we need that pattern provider, which we probably ought to put these on Autocraft too, let's go ahead and just do that while we're here. Pattern provider, there we go. And then we can toss that one into the molecular assembler as well. So now we have a processing pattern to go with this pattern provider. And the last thing we're going to need to set this up is we are going to need our induction smelter. Now, where is it? Is it here? There it is, right there. Cool. So the cool part about setting this up is we'll no longer have to run over to the induction smelter for all kinds of stuff. We're going to be able to automate all sorts of things using this. Now, I'm just going to put this stuff in here, how it is for now, because we're going to end up moving it once we get to automating those ME2 controllers. Or the ME controller, sorry, not ME2. So we'll just kind of stick it here temporary so you can see it, and then I'll show y'all where I move it in the next episode. Okay, so we're going to take our pattern provider and put it right here. And that's going to take up another channel on our controller over there, which is fine. We are not out of channels yet. And then we're going to set up this induction smelter right here. Now, this induction smelter, we are going to tell it that it can both input and output from the top. And we're going to tell it auto input enabled and auto output enabled. So that way it can take in items from the top and spit items back out to the top. And then we're going to stick our pattern in there. And the last thing we need to do is we need to give this thing some power. And I don't have all of my energy transfer nodes moved over yet. So we're just going to use a flux point for this right now and toss it in there. And so now this should be powered. It should have that. And if we go upstairs, we should be able to tell our system to go ahead and craft us some quartz glass. So, and if it works, it'll come right back in. It'll send it to that furnace. It will smelt it for us. It's going to be cool. So let's see. Quartz glass. So it's got the plus sign. That's good. So is it control shift click or is it shift click? Well, we can just empty it. All right, so now if I tell it to make 10, you'll see we're missing glass, but that's fine. All right, so I went and snagged some glass out of our other furnace real quick. We're going to work on getting glass automated too. That's the goal, get all of it automated. But now if we tell it to make 10, you'll see it has all the ingredients. And if we hit go, assuming I set that machine up correctly, what we should see is glass starting to come back. There we go, 4, 8, and it should be 12 when it's done. But there we are. So now it will actually auto-craft stuff, anything we need, as long as we know how to connect it in. We figure out how to tie it into the system and get it, get the block automated. Now, there's all kinds of ways we may have to do this. Some machines aren't going to, like stuff that needs things in certain faces and whatnot, or it needs fluids and whatever else. We might have to do it differently and put it into a laser node or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that is Autocrafting. And I am going to set up all sorts of stuff. And I probably won't continue to show you guys every one of them. But if it's like a super special setup for a machine, I'll show you. But stuff that's going to be just like this, where we can slap a pattern provider on it, get our stuff in and out of a machine. I'm not going to keep showing you that over and over. Ooh, I did this for glass. I did this for the other one. But if it's more complicated, we will cover them. But this is how we're going to make our lives super duper so much easier going forward, is all of the stuff where we're running around to stick this in that machine and that in this machine. Once you realize you're going to need more than one of it, we're just going to start making patterns, automating things, and getting that stuff done so we can focus on the more important things in the game. So can we autocraft up an energy cell? So how many do I need for like a basic? I could do a 3x3 or a 5x5, but it's just the shell. So I think we're going to need 16. So we are missing 58 Fluix dust. How do we get Fluix dust? And just like that, 64 Fluix dust. Okay. Oh, wait. We wanted to try and autocraft them. Energy. Okay. So in AE2, if you already have some in there and you want to craft, wheel click it and it will bring up the amount. So let's go for 15 because we already have one. Okay. Says we have enough to make 15 of them. There we go. It made 16 for whatever reason. Oh, wait. I had one. Duh. Okay. And then Fluix blocks. How many of those did we need per controller? 8. So we need a lot of Fluix blocks. Let's just see. Fluix blocks. If 16 is how many we need, then 128 is how many we need of these. And it says we have enough. And then now we're going to need Skystone block. All right, y'all. So I'm going to need to get a lot more Skystone made. I'm going to have to figure out a way to automate our daisies or need to get all that other stuff made up so that we can set up the mechanical daisy. I've got a couple ideas on automating the daisy with just based on how I was doing it with refined storage, but we will see how that goes in here. But for now, I just made up some stuff to get us started, and then we need to head to our quantum doohickey. Quantum assembler, and I think we toss in this and this and this, and you spit out our thing. No, it's miniaturization crafting, and we need calculation circuits, which I forgot at the other base. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go back. Advanced charge porter is the best thing ever. I should set my wireless back up, but I haven't. But I will. Dang it. Don't hold it in your hand when you're opening the door. You'll teleport. Cool. So we'll grab out those. And now we'll head back to the old base again. Eventually all this stuff will be out in the woods somewhere, We'll just, hide it in the woods. I don't know. It'll all be over there eventually. Spaceport. Here we go. And they don't go in there, Wooly. Why do you keep trying to put them in there? Okay. Now we need to take our thing, AE2 controller. That's what we want. And you guys have seen this before, but we just place the schematic in, we toss our ingredients in here, and we tell it to go. All right, I'm going to craft up some of these controllers. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. Woefully unprepared for today's episode because I need a ton more of that Skystone block to make the multi-block ring thing I want to make for all of the channels, which will probably never utilize all of them, but I want to make it once and be done with it. But I did get to make 3. And so with 3, we can demonstrate the concept of using a subnetted AE2 setup here, and it will be more than enough for demonstration purposes. So we need to give this thing power. Now, this one here is just literally going to be for peer-to-peer interfaces. None of the controlling of the main network is going to happen on this multi-block. All of our controlling of everything is going to happen on our singular controller upstairs. Now, we're not using 16 channels on this, so for our demonstration purposes here, I am going to be able to just slap an ME2 P2P tunnel right here, these things on there. So these are pretty simple to make. They were stuff we'd all already gone over. Engineering processors, aluminum plate, flux crystal. Made 2 of these. So what we're going to do is we are going to take and we are going to connect an ME2 tunnel, but we want it to go the other way. We actually want it connecting to this cable, not the other way around, because we're going to put one of these here. And then we're going to put another of these on to this face, if I can get it to go the right way. Why are you not? Why won't you face it like you're supposed to? Well, I know on the fat cables, it'll connect straight to the face because that's the only way it can. There we go. So now there is no connection between our machines there and this controller. What we'll do is we will shift right click this with the memory card, and it's going to copy the configuration of this controller. And if I link it to this one, now these are going to be connected if I put a cable there. So we need to connect that up with cable. And there were, let's see. Oh, this isn't going to be able to be here because it'll connect. Hold on. Let me do this differently. I can just go like this to tie into the backside. All right, cool. So now if I come with a cable here up to our ceiling, do I have enough cable? And bring it over, that is going to connect this controller to our other stuff. And you'll notice that it sees 3 there, and it's currently showing that 0 channels are in use. This tunnel is showing offline. Why is it offline? All right, y'all. Well, refined storage must have made my brain lazy because I forgot all sorts of things about it, but this is a crude example of it. So normally how I would build this would be a cube. Each of the faces of the cube is going to give us 32 channels that we can utilize over a P2P network. We need a controller. Well, actually, all you need is something to put power in. I typically use a controller because I'm going to end up with more than 8 channels being utilized on my backplane, going from my main channels that we're actually using to anywhere else. And without a controller, you can only utilize 8 channels if you just provide it power with something like an energy acceptor or whatever. But with the controller here, we can utilize up to 32 channels on each face of this to get our backbone, our pipeline around our base. So I typically have one of these on the subnet, and I normally connect it with like a quartz fiber in a pretty little way, which I'll show you when we get it done. But for the time being, I just brought some power underneath, and I put it here so that now we have it on the backside. But once you get power to the middle, everything that I just showed you it works the way that it is, that it was showing. And as you can see, this is carrying 8 channels. And if I come over here, it tells me there's 8 channels in use. If I come here, it's only using 2 channels, but there's 8 channels worth of stuff on this other side here. They're all coming through this P2P tunnel into our controller here so that we can see it. And as you can see, our crafter is up there, our grid and all of that. All of that stuff that's physically connected over there is actually running off of these controllers here, thanks to this little backplane and these P2P networks. These P2P networks, I think I may have them backwards because I accidentally broke them, but that's okay. You have an input and an output side. I think I'll need to reverse that before things will work if we tried to send things across them, but I honestly don't know if it necessarily matters. We shall see. It only matters on other things. Let's see. Can I access stuff? Yes. Can you do things? Quartz glass. Can you make me one more quartz glass? Is it working? Is it working? Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. So, the other thing to do is that we can do is each of these P2P tunnels, basically what we're doing is making use of every single face of your cube is capable of carrying 32 channels. Now, if you had to run dense cable everywhere for that, such a pain. But if I can get away with running smart cables, 8 channels a piece, like right here, I'm only using 2 channels, one for my controller and one for the actual stuff that's riding on the P2P. So I could connect up like 6 other P2P tunnels off of this main pipeline right here, each of which could have 32 channels. So we'd put another P2P here and another P2P on the other side, and that one channel on this back line will get me 32 channels worth of usage over here. And in order to utilize those channels, if you look right there, I've got the P2P tunnel connected to a dense cable because you can't connect it the other way. You can't put a dense cable to the back of a P2P tunnel, but you can put one on the face of it, and that gives me access to all 32 of those channels that I could pull off something else right here to feed down. You know, we could definitely do all sorts of really cool stuff with this P2P. So in between episodes or as we go and I get things automated, I'm going to make a bunch more of these and I'll show you that setup. It's going to stick out of the top up there. It's going to be neat. We're going to have more channels than we know what to do with, which is going to help us with all of the automation that I keep talking about. So this one little recipe here in the induction smelter is just the beginning. We can do so much just in this induction smelter. So if we look up the induction smelter and we come over here to uses, so things like we don't want to smelt stuff down, but let's see. Here we go. Constantan. I can tell it here. This is how you make it. You send it over there. So instead of having to run over and make that anymore, we just tell it to make us some and it would, send it, craft it up. Our ultimate universal cables that need to be made in the induction smelter, we'll be able to automate those. We're going to be able to automate things like the fluid encapsulator with destabilized redstone to make our, all of the core components for it. All of those things are going to be able to be tied in with these pattern providers to our system, and it's going to eliminate those tasks of us having to run to the machine, put the stuff in, wait on it. You'll be able to be like, oh, I need 8 of these. Tell your machine to craft it, and then you can go on about your business. And then when you're like, oh, where are those 8 things? They'll be right back in your storage already made for you, but you didn't have to run around like a chicken with your head cut off, putting stuff in machines, trying to remember all your ingredients. Oh, God, I'm over here. I forgot what I need. I got to run back. It is going to be friggin' awesome. I love automating things with AE2. I am super excited about this progress here. Here we are at a new base. I've got some subnets started. Nothing's where it goes, but we're getting there. And I am going to be able to start just automating till my heart's content on all of the things in this pack. Now, I've been a little long-winded, but we did get through AE2 Autocrafting, we did get through subnetting, and we did talk about our P2P tunnels. So that's actually all I had that I really wanted to get through in today's episode. There was a little bit of fumbling around in there because I have not played with AE2 in a while. The last time I went AE2 was All the Mods 8. I want to say I did an AE2 storage system on that world with Tito and all my friends that we play with. But yeah, I went AE2 there, but I've gone refined in Vault Hunters. I've went refined in a bunch of stuff. All the Mods 9 I went refined. Refined simpler, but AE2 is doable. AE2 has the ability to do some things that Refined doesn't. So I look forward to getting into all of that with you guys. And I hope that you were able to learn something from it. I still have a ton, and I mean a ton, of moving and setting up. So, I will try to work on some base design things so that it's not just episodes of me moving things from one base to another, but we're going to be automating so much more stuff. I can't wait for it. It is awesome. I want to sit here and just play for hours on end. But the problem is if I just play for hours on end and I don't make videos for you guys, well, then there's no videos for you guys. And that's kind of the point of this relationship here, is that I play the Minecraft and make videos of it so that you can watch videos of me playing the Minecraft. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening to my inane ramblings from time to time. I really appreciate each and every one of you. You guys, episode after episode, showing up in the comments section, just letting me know what you like, don't like, ideas. It's great. I love all the feedback. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.